From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Well, hello, fine people. You're looking good today, and it's so nice to see you. Whether you are joining us from Wisconsin, Ohio, Arizona, Connecticut, Texas, Missouri, wherever it might be, it's great to have you here. Even our friends in Texas City, Texas, it's just so nice to have you here and around the world. This is the Badass Counseling Show, and you've reached the lightning round. These are our Sunday episodes where we take listener questions on the fly. I am joined in studio by my team, KC over in the booth, and Rob the Rocket sitting next to me. Rob, what say ye, sir?
Doing well. And you are fly, my friend. You are fly.
Well, that's lovely. And if I knew what that meant, I would feel complimented, I think.
I'm not sure either, but I thought it sounded okay.
It does. It makes us sound young. Here we go. We've got the first question today from Danelle on TikTok. Danelle asked the question, when breaking up with someone, should you tell the person all the reasons why or spare them? I love that question. And the answer to that one, if you're breaking up with someone, should you tell them all the reasons why or spare them? And my general belief is tell them. They're going to want to know everything. They're going to want to know because we just want to know and what else and what else and what else. But it doesn't serve anything. After a certain point, it doesn't serve anything. And what I'm generally in favor of is up to a point, generally less is more, but without being a dick. And so if I'm breaking up with someone, it's like, sweetheart, if I'm being completely honest with you, and I am in favor of honesty, I really am. Don't play fucking games and don't string it up. That I've lost the spark and that I'm just not feeling it anymore, which is a true statement. But then if I start getting into, well, what is it about you that I don't like? Do you know what the effect of that is? The effect is I just created neuroses inside of you, or I've confirmed neuroses that you already have. I mean, think about it. This is to everyone listening to the show. Think about the last person that broke up with you, all right? That broke up with you, not where you broke it off with them. Last person broke up with you. Do you remember the reasons they gave? Or think about the first person in your adult life that broke up with you. Do you remember the reasons they gave? Or remember your high school sweetheart. Do you remember the reasons they gave? You're fucking right, they do. Do you want to know why you remember? Because that shit sticks in our head. And we become fucking neurotic about it. And we treat it as if it is motherfucking gospel from Jesus Christ himself. And it's just like, no. It's just one person's opinion. My girlfriend presently, she came into the relationship and she would always wear her hair over her ears, sort of just barely covering her face. All right. And I moved my business across the country and so forth. And when I'm with her, in the beginning, I just was constantly pulling her hair and putting it over her ears. And she's like, what are you doing? Don't do that. I'm like, fuck you. I didn't move across the country to not look at your face. I moved here to see that face. Yeah, and then she eventually opened up. I don't like my ears. I have big ears. I'm like, who the fuck told you that garbage? Well, 2 boyfriends ago or 3 boyfriends ago, whatever it was, he said, well, I don't really like your ears. I said, did he say that when he was breaking up or just sort of always? Well, he said it once or twice, but then when he broke up, he didn't really say it, but I just got really insecure about how I looked. I said, that's just fucking stupid. I love your ears. I love your beautiful face, and I'm here because I like your face. All right? And so anyway, we get these ideas in our head. So you're asking, what should you tell them when you're breaking up? Just tell them that the chemistry is not there. You don't have to get in. And if you want to get into things that happen between our chemistry, between the two of us, that's okay. But getting into criticizing the other person, how does that help? How does that help? It just hurts the other person. And to me, that's unnecessary brutality. All right.
How do you feel about it's not you, it's me?
I don't buy that. It's just, in the end, it's not me, it's us. Then in the end, I mean, sure, it's not you, it's me, insofar as I don't feel the chemistry. So yes, I don't feel something. But to me, it's just a cop-out. It's just like, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't feel it for you anymore. And it's because of just the spark. Let's invert the equation. Have you ever been on a first date with someone and maybe it's someone you didn't even think you'd have chemistry with, And then you get there and it's like, wow, we have great chemistry. And I'm not even talking about just sexual chemistry. I mean, just chemistry. Like, wow, I did not see this happening. I really like this person. Or invert that. You go on a date with someone and you know, sort of, for lack of a better word, they look good on paper. You know their sort of resume. And I don't mean career resume, but just in general. But then you get on the date and it's just like you guys don't have the chemistry. They're still a wonderful person. They're a great person. You just don't feel the chemistry. Have you ever had that? It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the person. It's just that you don't feel that sort of click. We get into relationships for one reason and one reason only. Everything boils down to one reason. You feel it. Maybe you feel it because of their energy. Maybe you feel it because, gee, he has a lot of money and that makes me feel secure. Maybe you feel it because, gee, she's pretty or she's got a great ass. Or maybe you feel it because they make me laugh. Whatever it is, and it makes you feel something. We end relationships for one reason and one reason only. I don't feel it. That something has happened that causes me to not feel it. And in the end, but it boils down to the fact I just don't feel it anymore. That's the reason. If you go beyond that as far as pointing out the other person, then it's just like nothing is served. All right, next question. Okay. That was a good one. We have not had that question in a long time, if we've ever had it. Well, now we're getting the flip side. Oh, no, actually, this is a different direction. Just Judy on TikTok asked the question, what is the best way to repair a broken relationship with my adult son? Well, first off, I'm going to send you to Christmas. 2023, 2024, 2025. Every Christmas I post a video. I'm sitting outside, and you can get it on Instagram and TikTok. Those are probably the easiest to get it on. It's on Facebook, but they don't use thumbnails, so it's harder to find it. And I'm sitting outside in a bomber jacket in the snow on a log, and it's titled something like 7 Things You Can Do to Help Your Adult Child Heal. However, you technically didn't ask that question, Judy. Just Judy asked the question, what is the best way to repair a broken relationship with my ex-son or with my adult son? And my response to that is a simple question. If you could choose between having a relationship with your adult son, but he is not healed from the damage that you've done to him, if there is damage, or your son is healed from the damage you've done to him, but you don't get a relationship with him, which would you choose? Now, you don't have to answer on the thread here, but that's ultimately the question that you have to answer for yourself. Am I doing this because I want a relationship, even if it comes at the expense of my child's healing? Now, obviously, you would want both, your child to be healed and I get the relationship. But if I were to have the relationship at the expense of my child's healing, or I could have my child heal, but I don't get the relationship, which would you choose? Now, hopefully the answer is that you would choose that your child would be healed, even if it means I don't get a relationship. But when you say, I want to repair a broken relationship, are you doing it for you? Is the highest priority to repair the relationship, or is the highest priority to help your child repair from whatever's going on in their life, but especially from the damage I have done? Because if you are focused on helping your child repair whatever hurts might be going on in their life, but especially the hurts that I can heal because I caused that damage, now you have your eye on the ball. Because the best shot you have to repair your relationship with your child is to help your child heal from the damage that you have done. And the more you do that and take back the rocks, every time we hurt someone, we are putting a rock in that burlap sack on their back. And every time that we take a rock out of it, it's like we're saying, I am owning the very problems and the very pains and the bullshit beliefs that I taught you to believe about yourself. I am taking those back out of that burlap sack on your back. And that is our role as parents, because our children, our adult children, are carrying around a backpack full of rocks. And the more damage we've done, it's like a 400-pound bag of rocks on their back, when their lives are supposed to be taking off and they're supposed to be flying at full wingspan. They're being dragged down by the very pains that we caused. So our job is to take those rocks back. And so my question to you is, are you trying to take the rocks back of the pain you caused, or are you simply wanting a relationship? Because if you're simply wanting a relationship, then it's about you. But if you're wanting to take those rocks back, then it's about helping your child heal, in which case now you have a chance for an authentic relationship. Then you're fundamentally, the underlying message you are conveying to your child is, I want to heal you. This is about you. Even if I never get the relationship, I want to own the damage that I've done, and I want my child to heal because I love you that much. Rob, go ahead.
Sven, over on YouTube, we have Utter Chaos, who says, trying to navigate the grief of losing our dog, Paisley, of 10 years, who died of a massive tumor and suffered. My husband never wants another dog because of how bad this hurts, but my 15-year-old son and I can't stand not having a dog. The dog was a constant. I don't want to undermine my husband's choice. It's been a few months, and my husband, rarely shows emotion.
Yeah. And I can actually understand where every player in this drama is coming at it from. And the bottom line is a few things happen. The loss of an animal in a family can be massive. It's a massive blow to all players involved. And some people are keeping their emotions in the case of your husband. But my question to you is, are you and your son actually flushing out? Have you truly flushed out all of your feelings regarding your deceased beloved animal? Have you truly? And my recommendation to all parties is that you sit down and either talk to the therapist or have long conversations with each other, or at the very least, and I would say the most reasonable is do some journaling on this. Write letters to your deceased animal. You don't have to share them with anybody. You don't have to read them with anybody, but it's about flushing out your pain. My question to you is, you are asking your husband, and I'm not saying any party in this is inherently right or inherently wrong, but you're asking your husband to replace someone that he loved very much, okay? And you're asking him to do it a few months after losing that someone. Now, I'm going to draw something that is really heretical to even say, but if someone lost a child, would you say to them 6 months later, you should go adopt a new child? Now, of course you wouldn't, would you? But there are some people in this world for whom their pet is even closer to them than a child. Okay. So it could be, and I'm not disputing this, what you say about your husband, that he keeps all of his feelings in. I'm not disputing that. And that's part of the problem. And the idea of experiencing that much loss, of falling in love with someone, his pet, falling in love with someone and then having his heart broken is so excruciatingly painful that he just can't go through it again. I get that. I really do get that. Yet the idea for you and your 15-year-old, I believe it was, to not have an animal to pour your love out onto is excruciating, is unfulfilling. So we're at an impasse. And so you're asking your husband to replace a beloved animal just a few months later. Come on, get with it, get with it, get with it. Let's invert the equation. Could you wait a year before replacing your animal? You're expecting him to ask quicker. Wouldn't it be reasonable if he said to you, could you act slower? What if he said to you, I'm willing to consider it, I'm willing to do it, if we could just wait 1 year? In other words, is there some middle ground here? Right? Because everybody's at an impasse. Why don't you propose to your husband that, listen, we'll wait? But it's almost as though you're trying to force your will on him, but he's also trying to force his will on you. But what's the rush? And I would say to him, does no mean forever, or does no mean for right now? Because the way you're portraying it is that no means forever. And so you're like, well, this is just fucked. It sounds like it's forever. Well, maybe it's not forever. Maybe he's just grieving. And does it say how long the animal was alive?
10 years, and she's also saying that husband is completely closed off emotionally. It worries her. He said, never again.
Never again. Right. And he's completely closed off emotionally. If I'm being very honest with you, is it possible that you're using the animal as a surrogate for him? Is your biggest issue really your dog? I mean, if your husband is completely closed off emotionally, isn't it possible that you're not getting your emotional needs met that you should be getting from a husband? And so you and your son are getting your emotional needs met from each other and from a dog, when really the real issue is you're triangulating with an animal, and that is you're trying to use an animal to fulfill the role of a husband in some ways or another. Obviously not in all ways. Is it possible? And so isn't it possible that I agree that you've got a problem. I'm not disputing that your family has a problem, but may I recommend to you that you either talk to a therapist or do some heavy work on your own, or grab my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, but you need to go into what the hell is really going on in your marriage. Because if you are saying he is that walled off emotionally, I would bet dollars to donuts that you are not having your emotional needs met in your marriage. I would bet any money on that. And I'm also willing to bet that your teenage son is feeling supremely disconnected and unloved by his father. So we've got far larger problems. And the idea of bringing in a dog, in a way, is just a form of anesthesia to numb from the far greater problem. Next question. Here we go. I'm going to take this one. I've got one here from Andrea on Facebook. Andrea writes, hello. My husband and I are trying to repair our marriage. He has so, in capital letters, so much anger that he hasn't been able to work or move through. How can I support him while he's working through that? Andrea, my first question to you would be, is he actually working through that? You say he hasn't been able to work or move through. And then you say, how can I support him while he's working through that? Are you actually asking me, how do I support him while he's working through that? Or are you asking me, how do I get him to work through that? Because if you say in the previous sentence, he hasn't been able to, that tells me he's not moving through it. You're frustrated. How do I get him to get off his ass and go into his shit? That's what I hear you asking me. Now, it may not be that case. If he is actually moving through it and you're asking, how can I support him? I'd say, in a way, get out of his way and just encourage him. And in those times when he opens up, or in those times when he needs a bit of encouragement, or he's feeling down because of some of the things that he's running into in his working through, quote unquote, the problems in his anger, be supportive and so forth, but also draw your hard boundaries that you are not his therapist. And it's not your responsibility to take on his problems. All right. And to applaud him when he opens up and is vulnerable, and be patient and listen and say, that must have been really hard for you. And I'm proud of you, sweetheart. And this was really great. Do not let him take his anger out on you. Do not. However, if you're asking the question, how do I get him to work through and move through his anger and go into the sources of the anger, how do I get him to do that? If I'm being very honest with you, I'm going to assume that you have talked with him about it. I'm going to assume that you have attempted to get him by asking him and imploring him and cajoling him. At some point, Andrea, if I'm being completely honest with you, I would ask you the question, when do you start standing up for yourself and not backing down? Has it occurred to you that the solution to your life's problems are to quit trying to change him and to change yourself? I'm willing to bet, and I could be totally wrong on this, all right? I'm willing to bet that when you do stand up, you back down. Would that be accurate? Not every time, but there's somewhat of a power imbalance. Anger in one member in a relationship tends to create some measure of subservience or fear in the other member in the relationship. We've just created a power imbalance. And so when he's mistreating you or making you feel bad, you go and you at times rise up to create a power somewhat of an equality, but then he escalates even higher to resume that power imbalance, to fundamentally get his foot right back on your throat. Okay? And you back down. Why? Because you fear that anger. You fear him leaving you. You fear being alone. You fear his blowback, whatever it might be. And so at some point, you have to understand that when somebody has a power imbalance over someone else, there is no incentive for them to change. There is no incentive for them to face their work. Okay? So until they see the pain that they are causing you, or until they see that their anger in attempts to change that power imbalance, until they see that and that it's not working anymore, either because whether they respond to your pain or whether he responds to you not backing down anymore, until there is some incentive, he's not going to change. And the truth is, it's possible that neither one of those is going to get him to change. But clearly you begging, imploring, asking, guiding, being patient and all that, clearly it's not working. If he is still not doing the work, it's not working. Thus, it's fundamentally about, it's no longer a question about getting him to do something. Now it's about getting you to do something. And it's based on how much longer do you want to put up with somebody treating you like this, and when does your own inner no rise up inside and not back down. We'll be right back after this short break.
I had a really good start in my life, and I've been successful in my career, but I have to say I've learned so much and improved my outlook on life since I met Sven and picked up a copy of Badass Wisdom. With the daily meditations as journaling prompts, I've uncovered a lot of memories that weren't totally pleasant. With Sven's guidance, I've achieved some new understanding, and honestly, I feel lighter. Badass Wisdom is a great read, in nice small bites, and I think anyone can benefit from it. So go to badasscounseling.com and get the book or the audiobook. It could change your life.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
We are back with the Badass Counseling Show. I am Sven Erlandson, the host and executive producer of the show, joined in studio by Rob the Rocket and KC. We are taking questions in this live lightning round. I've got a question here by Rayanne, and it sort of piggybacks on the question that we were just dealing with. Rayanne on TikTok asked the question, do you feel a person can help you heal by their action and consistency in a relationship? Absolutely. Absolutely. I've, over the decades, heard testimonial after testimonial from people who were locked in their own old shit. But because of the person that they were in a relationship, whether it was a husband, a wife, a spouse, a family member, a sibling who had an epiphany of their own, maybe even a parent who turned, but really ultimately and I've occasionally had it where the child, the adult child, inspired the parent, but where it's a lover, where they love them so much and created such a safe space, such a culture of appreciation, where that person's love and that person's word penetrated decades of encrusted self-loathing, self-doubt, self-criticism, all of which were never from the self. They were from someone else, penetrated through it and began to not necessarily heal that person, but began to create a seed that grew in the rock. And that seed was the belief, you are good. You are lovable. I wouldn't be here if you weren't. Can someone's love change another person in a relationship? Absolutely and unequivocally. Next question. Spencer Spots over on Facebook says, surprise question. How are you doing, Sven? Is life going as well as you would like, since you always help everyone else? Thank you, sir. Well, thank you, Spencer Spots. How am I doing? I tell you, literally, my latest book literally just came out yesterday. It is entitled Cheating Sucks, and it is available on Amazon in paperback, and it is available at badasscounseling.com as audiobook. That is, again, and if for some reason it gets glitchy on the books page, just reach out through the contact page for the audiobook. But it is entitled Cheating Sucks, and it is the only book ever written by an author who has been cheated on twice, who cheated on one of his ex-wives back in my 20s, and who was the co-cheater in over 30 relationships with women who are either cheating on their husband, their partner, or their wife, and who also has a 30-year counseling practice. This is the comprehensive book on cheating, but it fundamentally teaches one thing, one operating thing, well, a few things. One, that women are cheating just as much as men, that it's not just men, but also that if you have been cheated on, you never have more power to change the relationship. And you will then, in that place between not going back and not moving on. Once you make that decision, you begin to lose your power to make change in that relationship, if that is your desire. Second of all, well, I'm going to hold off on that for a minute. All right, we're going to move forward, answer some questions. All right. So I am doing well, Spencer Spots. I am doing very well. Thank you for asking.
For those of you listening to the podcast, the book's been out for about 6 weeks now.
Yes, and it's fantastic, and it's been selling very, very well. All right. Quinn Wynn asked the question. Quinn, good to see you this evening. Thanks for checking in. Quinn says, Sven, should I contact my ex and let him know I'll be visiting his city this weekend? Quinn, my question to you is simple. Do you want to? Because that implies, when you open with the word should I, that implies to me you don't want to, but you feel obligated. Don't do it if you don't want to. Just move on. Just live your life. And maybe next time you'll want to. Maybe you won't. If you feel like you have some sense of obligation and you absolutely must, I mean, if you want to keep checking in, or you feel like this is a transition that you're still in with your ex, go for it. But if you feel like you really don't want to, then why are you still doing things in life that you don't want to do? Next question. Rob has a question from one of our followers over on YouTube. Go ahead, Rob.
That is right, Sven. We have Hatchet Man on YouTube who asks, is it safe to accept the changed behavior of a parent or spouse if they haven't apologized for or even acknowledged the pain they have caused?
Well, Hatchet Man, my question to you is, do you want to? Because you wouldn't even be raising that question unless something about that bugs the shit out of you, right? I mean, the change actions are nice, but what they're fundamentally trying to do is say, I have every right to be a fucking asshole to you, and I don't have to fucking apologize it, and we're just going to forget about it, and you can suck my hairy balls, and we're going to move forward. That's what they're saying. And you're saying, okay, I'm so lucky to have you. Now, the reason we do that, the reason you're doing that or considering taking them back without that, and if you choose to do it, it's your choice. Hey, maybe you're the let's let bygones be bygones sort of person, but you aren't, because if you were, you wouldn't be asking this question. No, you're asking this question because it bugs the fucking shit out of you. And the truth is, the reason you're doing it is because you so desperately want a relationship with this person. And I'm not saying that's bad, but the reason you want this relationship is because you're wanting something from the relationship. What you're fundamentally wanting is you are wanting acknowledgement of your worth. You're wanting acknowledgement of who you are, of the pain that you've been caused, of your reality, that your pain, that who you are matters. And that pain that they've caused you is an extension. It is a part of you. And by them denying that, they are denying you. And the reason you still want them to acknowledge the pain and to acknowledge you is because by doing so, then it fundamentally says, see, I'm not crazy. See, I do matter. And then you can have some sense of peace inside, but you don't have that fucking peace right now, which is why you're trying so hard in life to get everybody else's fucking approval, which is why you worry so much about, am I any good? And you question your own worth. You've had your own worth questioned by your own fucking parents your whole fucking life. So now you question your own worth. So you go into social situations, maybe you feel uncomfortable, or maybe you go overboard trying to win people over. But you're not even living your own fucking life because you don't even know who you are, because your own sense of self was never confirmed, which is why you're holding on to this person and letting them deny the shit that they did to you. And they get off scot-free. Hey, I still get the benefit of having a fucking child who's willing to let me fucking, beat the fuck out of them, basically, emotionally. And I don't have to do a thing about it. I win. I don't have to fucking do anything because you so desperately want their confirmation of your worth. But they're doing literally the opposite. I'm not going to confirm your worth because that would require confirming the pain you've been through, which I'm not going to do because it makes me look bad. But you want it so badly because you believe that you need it in order to have a sense of peace. And that peace would come from them confirming your worth. And think about how flimsy that is, that they have so much power over you that they control whether or not, still at your age, as a fucking adult. Now, when you're a child, they do have that. But as an adult, Jesus, I'm giving them that much power that they still control my own sense of worth? Fucking hell. When in fact, you seize your own confirmation of worth by saying, I no longer need it from this person. They're never going to get it. But more importantly, you know what? I confirm my own worth. I don't want to be treated this way. And the moment you are able to let go of their collar, because it's like you're holding on to their collar and they just keep punching you in the face by negating your worth, by not giving you what you want. Remember, anytime someone has something that you want, they have the power to make you miserable by withholding it. You keep holding on to their collar and they keep punching you in the face. And you're like, how do I get them to stop punching me in the face? How do I get them to acknowledge what they've done? Yeah, just let go of the fucking collar. But you don't want to do that because you think you'll lose confirmation of worth. But that's the very thing you have to do, because that is you confirming your worth by saying, I don't deserve to be treated this way. Next question. I don't know how quickly I did that, but I found my mouth moving very, very fast.
But if you could be energetic in your response, what would you say?
I'd say, I don't know. All right. Okay. Oh, here we go. Quinn Wynn follows up. And she says, we dated years ago. She's going back to the town that her ex lives in, doesn't know if she should contact her ex. She says, we dated years ago, broke up because he's an atheist, I'm Christian, great guy, I just didn't see a future with him because of our faith differences. That has nothing to do with whether or not you contact him. You've given me no indication. Unless you want to contact, hoping he's become a Christian, hey, reach out. But no, you don't want to. Quinn, you've given me no indicator that you have any obligation to contact him or whatever. But if you want to reach out, reach out. All right, next question. Michelle says, casually dating 18 months. Feels very hot and cold. Is this feeling just me overthinking? Not necessarily. I'm willing to bet, because you just said two things. Feels very hot and cold. You use the word feel, and then you use feeling descriptors, hot and cold. Those are feelings. Those are things you can touch, right? And then in your next sentence, you say, is this just me overthinking? Well, thinking is a thought. Feeling is a feel, okay? You've been casually dating for 18 months. My question to you is, why are you casually dating? That implies that you potentially want more or you don't want more, but you're sort of saying both. Well, it's hot and cold. I do want more and I don't want more. And my question to you is, what feels right for next? What would truly feel good to move forward in sort of a more committed relationship rather than just casual, or to move out of this relationship? Because in a way, it doesn't even matter what the other person wants. The real question is not what do you want? I'm not asking you what you want, because that's a head question. I'm asking, what would energize you? What would just feel good? To sort of let go and move on, even if it's scary. In other words, would moving forward with this person into a more fulfilling relationship, would that energize you or suck the life out of you? In other words, folks, start reading your energy rather than thinking about life. Start trusting your energy, that your energy knows who you are. And by energy, I don't mean like voodoo shit. I don't know. Nothing against voodoo practitioners, nothing at all. I'm just using that as a sort of catch-all word. It's just what gives you energy. That is yourself. What inspires you or brings you a sense of calm and peace. That is pretty much the way of knowing what is you and what isn't you. So ask your own energy. All right, next question. Stephanie Hartley asked the question, why do parents pit each other and create enablers and make excuses and don't be honest and cause everyone to long for something like application love, but instead make excuses and enable the adult, and then no one can say anything because they are scared? I don't know what it is, but no one says anything. Okay. There's a lot going on there, Stephanie, and I'm not going to try to pull it all apart just because there are so many questions there. But I'm going to sort of take your opening question. Why do parents pit each other sort of against each other and pit the kids against each other and not be honest? In all honesty, why do parents do it? It's because the parents have an agenda to protect themselves. Parents have the parents have an agenda to protect their own ego, to perhaps protect their own money, to make themselves look good. Parents are afraid of what others might think, afraid of being taken advantage of, afraid that you'll get more of the kids than I will. There's so many fears and ego-driven things working into parents when they are divorcing. Having been there, I can tell you this for fact. Okay? And what they do not have in the situation you're describing, what they do not have is the best interests of the children. And it's very hard to do. And if you've ever been in that situation in a divorce where you have children, it is very hard to pull yourself out of the center of the universe and put the child or children there. Not that the children always get their way. Not that the children are always in the center of the universe. That's just as bad. But that your general orientation as a couple, soon to be an ex-couple, as you are working through your divorce, that you commit to doing what's in the best interest of the children, as well as what is going to work for both departing parties. Because usually what happens, or not usually, what very often happens is that gets inverted. And that it's what's in my best interest, what's in your best interest. And as you described very well there, Stephanie, the children get the push and the pull. And why do parents do it? It's just ultimately selfishness. And they're doing it because they haven't healed their own shit. They haven't healed their own shit. And they are taking it out on the kids or allowing it to spill out onto the children. And that is why I always very, very strongly recommend my book for divorcing parents. There's a hole in my love cup, so that you'll heal your shit. I also recommend that you get your own children into therapy before you announce a divorce, or after if it's too late. Get them in because they need it. All right? Next question. Let's see what we've got here. Rob, you said you have one over there?
Sven, over on YouTube, Atomic Kevin says, Sven, I have a good relationship with my 18-year-old nephew, but I notice his self-esteem is really bad. He says he doesn't want to grow up. Would it be wise to tell him to go deep into his pain this early in adulthood, or should life teach him the hard way?
No, if he's 18, you said?
18.
No, Atomic Kevin, you need to be the deep taker with him, taking him deep. Saying he needs to go deep into it to an 18-year-old, you might as well be speaking Martian to him. Okay? Where you begin with this, and as I tell the members of Community Plus, which is our support and growth group at badasscounseling.com, and even my clients, I always tell them, I'm not breeding you to follow, I'm breeding you to lead. That in my healing you, I am breeding you to become a leader, to learn tools and mix them in with your own innate abilities and interests so that you can be a leader. You can be going out into the world, helping others to heal to the degree you want to. Okay, so Atomic Kevin, what I would say to you is you need to continue to go deep into your stuff so that you can be that source for an 18-year-old kid. Because I don't know about you when you're 18. When I was an 18-year-old, I was a snot-nosed kid. I didn't know my ass from my elbow. But I do know this. I had a few men in my life, Richard Silverstein, Pat Wisniewski Sr., Joe Frank, my own father, one of my brothers, that I had men in my life who listened and who asked me questions about me. They didn't just talk. So in the case of your nephew, when he says, I don't want to what, Rob?
I don't want to grow up.
Okay. Honestly, do you know what my natural question, and I'm not even talking about if I were in therapy, I'd ask it in therapy too, but if I were sitting on a plane and I'm sitting next to some kid or a grown-ass adult and they said something, I don't want this, or boy, I really want that in life, if we were having a chat, what is natural curiosity? What would you say, Rob, if someone says, I don't want to grow up? What would just your natural curiosity be for your next question?
Why do you feel that
Exactly.
way? What is it that makes you not want to grow up?
Exactly. Just natural curiosity is, well, I wonder why that is. Tell me why that is. Nothing wrong with it, kiddo. There's nothing wrong with that. I had times when I didn't want to go. Fucking hell, there are still times when it's like, can I please just go back to, whatever age? All right, so that's very normal. But you got to admit, there's just a natural curiosity that says, well, why is it? So ask the child that and keep your lip zipped. No judgment. Well, you should. Well, life needs to kick your ass. No. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to grow up. And you don't need to fix him. Remember, guys, children want to be heard, not fixed. Adults are very often the same way. We just want someone to listen. I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, and I had to say to her, and she's normally a great listener, and she was having a busy day, and I had this idea I wanted to run by her. And her response was X, Y, or Z. And I said, I just really need you to be positive or neutral right now. She wasn't even being negative. She was just sort of going off in a different direction. I said, I really need you to be positive. And she still wasn't getting it. I said, sweetheart, I need you to jump up and down with pom-poms and say, that's a fantastic idea. And then she started laughing. And she stopped and she put her hands on my shoulders and she said, Sven, that is a brilliant fucking idea. I love your idea. God bless you. I love it. And it's like, thank you. That's all I wanted. As insane as that sounds. Okay, so in the case of your nephew, what he really wants is someone to take an interest in him. If you guys ever want to have your mind fucking blown, one of the books, and it's a cliche, it's a multi-million bestseller. It's been around since the 1930s or 40s. Read the book. You want to understand people. First of all, you want to know how to make friends. You want to understand people. You want to know what to do when people are opening up. One of the things that helped me become a so much better therapist is the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. And one of the things he says in there is people just love to talk about themselves. People want to open up. And if they feel like they can trust you and that you don't have an agenda, or you're not going to slam them, they will tell you everything. Just ask the questions, ask the right questions without judgment, and stay with them there. So just keep asking the questions of your nephew and saying things like, well, that's okay. Well, I can understand that. Well, that makes sense. Nothing wrong with that. And then things like, you're doing all right, kid. It's going to be okay. I know it's frustrating. Confirm his feeling, whatever you sense he's feeling, like he's feeling like it's really hard or feeling frustrated. Say, that must be really frustrating. Or what's the scariest part? Or What's the hardest part in all of that? Help me understand. I'm not an 18-year-old right now. I don't know what it's like for you guys. Talk to me. Now you're being the leader. Now you're being the mini therapist, and that kid is unburdening. You will fast become the favorite person in his life, but you're also helping him to sort out. What he's wanting is an adult to help him sort out life, which is why he doesn't want to grow up. It's too scary. And by you sitting down and giving a shit, you are fundamentally conveying to him the underlying message, wow, an adult gives a shit about me. I must matter. Boy, imagine if you had gotten that, or if I'd gotten that, how that feels when we get it from anybody, that I matter. That's powerful juice. All right.
It's one of the most powerful things I've learned.
What's that, Rob?
Even recently, that there's so much power in learning to listen and to get somebody to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
It seems so obvious, but so few do it.
Yeah, and people will love you for it. Dale Carnegie, in his book, he talks about running into a woman at a grocery store, and he didn't know the woman, but he knew she was a mutual friend of a friend of his. And he stood there and he talked to the woman, and they talked and talked and talked, and she went to their mutual friend, and she said, Dale is such a wonderful conversationalist. What a wonderful, charming man. And Dale reported to his friend, we talked for nearly an hour, and in that hour, I'll bet I talked a total of 5 minutes. And so you want to know how to win people over? You want to know how people will talk. They want to talk. And not that you're obligated to stand there and talk through all of it, listen through all of it. But the point is, if there's someone who is hurting, you have the opportunity to bring healing simply by listening. And if you want to be liked, just ask people about themselves. Yeah.
When I met my girlfriend's family for the first time, this big extended family and a big party, I was quite nervous about it, but I put that into practice, and now she calls me Prince Charming because I was so charming to everybody. They all complimented her afterwards. I said, well, it sounds a little judgmental, but I'm glad I was on the positive side.
That's all right. That's all right. And here, I would have thought it was just your good looks.
Nope,
Rob.
that ain't it.
Well, who knew? Who knew? I'll bet it's that too. All right, next question over on TikTok is Nick Potter, who asks the question, how do you deal with adult children going no contact? The single biggest thing that you need to do, Nick Potter, is your heart is hurting. And the single biggest thing that you need to do is unhurt your heart. And the way we do that is by flushing out the pain. You've got so much pain and frustration and probably some rage inside of you right now, and you need to begin to do the work of flushing that out. Okay? Your attempts to gain the child back will only gather frustration right now. They're going to come back if they come back on their agenda. There's no amount of begging or pleading. All right? So in the meantime, what you've got to begin to do is unburden your own heart, because nothing will gum up your life. Nothing will jam up your decision making. Nothing will drag you down like a lead balloon more than a chest and a head and a throat and a gut full of dead emotion, full of amped up energy of anger and sadness and all these things. And you got to start flushing it out. Start writing letters that you do not send. And the reason you don't send them is because then it's you trying to get them back. You got to begin to heal you first. Furthermore, I would strongly recommend that you go to, as I mentioned earlier in the show, go to Christmas of 23, 24, or 25 on either Instagram or TikTok on Badass Counseling, and look at the video I made. I'm sitting outside in a bomber jacket in the snow, and it's entitled 7 Things You Can Do to Help Your Adult Child Heal. And that'll take you down the road of also not just unburdening your own emotion, but helping your adult child heal. You may never get that child back, but at the very least, you will begin to do the work of taking back the very pain that you caused them so that they might have a good life. All right, next question. All right, listener over here on Facebook says, regarding for the person who earlier said that they lost a pet, the mom and child can find benefit from volunteering. It's not the same, but dad needs time and processing. Good insight there. I like that one. Okay. Steffi raises the question over on TikTok. I feel like I'm not meant to have love, like I'm meant to show love. Is that a thing? It's a thing if you choose for it to be a thing. There's certainly nothing wrong with it, Steffi. But of course, I'm natural curiosity. Again, folks, when you're interacting with people, just go where your natural curiosity goes. All right? My natural curiosity is, do you feel like you're meant to show love? Meant to implies that you've tried In this case, you've tried to have love or get love, and you've been frustrated and feel like the doors have been closed and you've gotten your heart broken and so forth, and nothing has worked out. So I guess I'm just meant to show love. And in fact, I'm willing to bet that is what has happened. Would that be accurate, Steffi? And if so, then you almost feel like, well, God is sending me a message, or the gods are talking, or this is just my fate, whatever it is. And so you feel like I'm not meant to have love. And so you ask, is that a thing? It's a choice. It really is a choice. And let's be very honest, there is great joy that comes from giving love. Having that as a big part of life is a very human thing. And there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's beautiful, giving love. But not meant to have love? I personally don't believe anybody is not meant to. I believe what happens is we have frustrations and we have letdowns and setbacks. After my second wife and I divorced, it was 10 years before I met the girlfriend that I've been with for 12 years. 10 years without love. I fell in love with a couple times, but it was just frustration after frustration, loss after loss. 10 years. So I get it. Now, I know there are people who have been through far longer droughts, and I was through an even longer career drought, but as far as love is concerned, I totally get it. Okay? But do I believe that? No. What you do is you continue to flush out, to purge out your own pain, your own sadness, your own frustration. That's the question I have for you is, are you doing the work of getting out that pain, of getting out that sadness, of getting out those core beliefs? And I'm willing to bet there are some inside of you that say, I'm not good enough. I'm just not meant for it. There's something wrong with me. And if there are messages like they're in that, have you traced back to where those origins came from? Because that's the stuff that's causing you to actually believe it. Those core messages that you were taught that are still inside you, and those have to come out of you. All right. Here we go. 007 asks the question, if everything is great in a 10-year relationship minus sexual chemistry, we're never on the same page, that not a good reason to leave, right? 007, there is no good or bad reason to leave. Okay? There's no reason that I can tell Rob or you or Susie or Paul or Jeff to leave a relationship, or that you can tell me what is or isn't a quote-unquote good reason. The only good reason is what feels right to you. Now, whether you are the person feeling like this relationship is enough for you without the sexual chemistry, or whether you're feeling like it isn't enough for you, the ultimate question is, what feels right for you? Do you want something different? And it can be scary when you've been in something for 10 years and you do want more. It can be scary at the thought of giving up something that has been good in so many ways, except for the sexual element. It can be very scary to think about letting go of something good because, gee, what if I never even get what I have now? And that's true of any relationship, not just the one that you have set up here. But in the end, you say, that's a good reason to leave, right? Or that's not a good reason to leave, right? Sure, why isn't it? There's no right or wrong reason. You don't have to justify it by anyone. And no one has to justify their reasons by you. And that's the shitty part. Well, come on, I'm in the relationship. Of course you should have to justify it by me, right? No. That in the end, we do have the freedom to run our lives our way, and you have the freedom to stay or go. It is up to you. And that's what makes, really, in a way, staying in a relationship with someone sort of beautiful when someone chooses to stay with you, is that they could leave. They could leave at any time, and yet they choose to stay. It's kind of cool. They actually want me. But if it does not fulfill you, let it go. Move on or stay. But only you know the answer. And that's where you have to quiet yourself. You have to slow yourself down. You have to have some solitude. You have to have some silence. You have to have some stillness. And just take your time. There's no rush. You've been in 10 years. I'm sure another one wouldn't kill you, or another month or another day. Just take your time and trust that when it's right, you'll know. You'll know. All right, folks. This has been a lovely evening. Thank you so much. Lovely day. Thank you so much for a great episode. Lots of terrific questions in a few different directions. Always fun to get a good breadth of questions on different topics and so forth. I hope it has helped you. I know that we've enjoyed ourselves. Rob, what say ye?
Like good variety. Variety is the spice of life. This was a spicy show.
Spicy. Yes, cayenne, baby. All right. For those of you listening around the world, thank you so much for tuning in to the Badass Counseling Show. To all of our listeners that tune in regularly, that download our podcast, please know that we do have Community Plus over on the website. We have my new book out, Cheating Sucks, paperback available on Amazon, and the audiobook available at badasscounseling.com. We also have the Badass Counseling Group, which is a free group on Facebook, 48,000 members. All sorts of resources. If you want counseling for yourself, go to, or you and your spouse, go to badasscounseling.com. All sorts of resources. Rob, I did not tell you earlier in the show.
Yeah.
We had someone right as you were starting the opening of the show. We had someone say, Sven, please say hello to the man, the legend, Rob.
Oh, well, tell it like it is.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, I do have my legendary team, Casey, who is over in the booth, shaking her head, smiling at yet another successful show, and all of you guys' great comments and questions.
It's an old legend, I am, but still.
Not a legend. It is, in fact, truth, people. Some legends are true. And yes, Rob is a great element to the show and most necessary element of the show. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and for your great questions. And on behalf of my team, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.